look at some of these quotes. And, we have the cliches and the terms that we can use, that we should be a non-violent movement where people will quote Martin Luther King and they'll quote, Malcolm X, or we all have different quotes that we can use to support our mindset. You think of Frederick Douglass. He said, a man's right rests in 3 boxes. Well, here I got 6 fingers up. A man's rights rest in 3 boxes: the ballot box, the jury box, the cartridge box. The cartridge box. And why such a great man of wisdom would put cartridge box third. But it's almost in a way like our Constitution, that if the ballot box doesn't work and the jury box doesn't work, that you still have the cartridge box to defend yourself and rely upon. And I think of the wisdom of people like that, and to analyze those statements. What's going on in our culture? I mean, let's not hide or wince. There's a party that supports gun ownership, and the same party is called a racist. There's a party that inherently was behind supporting racism, founded the Ku Klux Klan. It was the same Klan that went into Oklahoma, the same party that was involved in legislation nationally in terms of red flag laws and picking winners or losers, if you want to use a term. I lose my life because I don't have a gun, and I should just leave it to law enforcement, when the issue is, as much as I love my law enforcement, I know it takes them about 8 to 10 minutes to get to my home. That's a time for me to defend, as long as I can, my household, my children. And a lot of this for me comes from the fact of thinking of my kids. And as a man or a parent, being unable to protect because of a political ideology. And we're in America. You're free to make that call, or whatever you want to do, whether you want to have a gun in your home or not. But don't take away my right to have and bear arms because of your fear. And when we talk about this, let's discuss fear. Those same racists feared a black man having a gun, because those racists knew how badly they treated black people. And they know if I had a gun, and if I thought like them with hate, that I would use that gun to come back after them. Here's the thing. There's 30 million black people in America. There's probably 270 plus million white people. If there was really a race war where it was white people going after black people, and white people have the predominance of guns, this would have been settled already. When the real issue is the 270 million people. Now, not all are gun owners, but there are more guns than people that are in the United States. So I would say that's some pretty responsible gun ownership. So when I look at the argument, someone will say, well, Rupert, the way we curb gun violence in the inner city is taking away the guns. So the people who, we're blaming the victim, the people who legally purchased a firearm to hunt, to defend their home, whatever their reason, it's their right. I don't get mad at a guy that buys a V12 car. So here we are. But to say that the person who legally purchased a firearm should have that right removed for the person who stole a firearm, the issue is not necessarily the gun violence. Another issue is, I would say, is how that gun was obtained. I'll tell you, when you buy a car, and I know this is a great analogy, when you buy a car, that feeling of opening up the glove box, pulling out the manual, you read through everything. Do people who get guns stolen read the manual? Do they know how to properly operate the firearm? So for me, when we have this discussion, if anything, we should increase gun ownership. Allow people to go online and learn about how to use a gun. When we talk about, even in these inner cities where there's a prevalence of death by people who use guns, removing the gun is not going to get rid of the hunger for survival. It'll change to using fists. It'll change to, like in England, they use knives. whatever means someone who has bad intent will use to get what they want, they're going to use it. So the gun isn't the issue. The issue is poverty. And that's not something that guns should be in the same argument with or discussion. I would say I agree with you on that. It is the leftist policies that are destroying this nation. If you look at civilized society, you take away the guns from people, and then you allow an oppressive, tyrannical government to come in and do have their bidding. I mean, the favorite example is what happened with Hitler and Nazism in Germany. Took away the guns. And what happened after that? People went into ovens. We have repeated examples throughout history and even today of people who are unable to defend themselves. And you're saying to yourself, if they only had a gun. The reason why we're such a protected and great nation, besides the grace of God, is because there are millions of guns in America. You would be a fool to launch a ground war against Americans, because we would rally up and rise up. Everyone, no matter your profession, soldier or not. And that's what makes America so special, and the exceptionalism. So when I hear Democrats want to take away the same Democrats who were behind all of this, back from the slave quarters to 2020, who are saying that the issue is the guns as opposed to it's their policies and legislation, that they've created they've created the cesspool in some of these cities and the poverty, and their solution is, okay, now that we've created people killing people, let's take away that person's right to defend themselves and just straight kill everybody, until we then use the excuse of, the best way to fix this is just to take away the guns. So we'll just have hand-to-hand combat? Then you can come in as the government and what else will you take away? My right to speak? Isn't that like Facebook authoritarian? Take away, what other rights are you willing to take because of one? And to me, that is one of the most holy of our rights as Americans, is the right to keep and bear arms. And again, to get back to red flag legislation or gun confiscation laws, what a better term to use. This is no different, and I go back to the same point, than repackaged Jim Crow. Oh, what's so bad about it? You just take a test and you prove that you know what you're talking about in terms of how to safely operate a firearm. Isn't that what they did with Jim Crow? Well, prove, boy, that you know what you're talking about. Do you know who's running for president? You don't know. You're too stupid to make a decision for yourself, boy. Democrats did that. And they're hoping that black people don't remember what they did and how they turned this country against itself. And it was the Republicans with Civil War and arming black men and women to fight for our own freedom, and joined in with other Republicans with guns to make sure that our voices and our First Amendment right was heard. This is the party that has still waging a war on black people, people of color, of socioeconomic status, under the guise of using the bait and switch as a gun is the problem, when really it's that liberal left that is the problem. We're caring of the black people. We want to do what's best to help you. I mean, if you look at what's happening right now in the riots and protesting, the protests are black people. The riots are white kids. But the media would have you believe that it's black people running through all of these areas, breaking up all the stores in their own neighborhood, when we're now seeing more and more videos of black people stopping the white kids from outside of the towns from looting and damaging the stores. This is not what it's about. However, the media, in coordination with the Democrat Party and those racists, are using protesters or switching of who's really to blame here. And saying, and in some of the videos we've seen, these Antifa types are carrying weapons, and they're not legal, to riots. Sometimes you have to wonder, have things really changed? Democrats didn't want us to have guns back then. They don't want us to have guns now. It is what it is. I really appreciate the opportunity afforded to me to be able to speak and share my perspective. Please visit the National Association for Gun Rights.org to become a member today. If you are a member, thank you so much. And please share this video with some of your friends, and hopefully we can get the word out on how we fix racism in this country. And part of that is doing away with red flag gun confiscation type laws, or better yet, Jim Crow type legislation. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. God bless you all.